Hello and welcome to this Train Sim World 4 roadmap walkthrough. Essentially, I'm going to be walking through this part 1 that is released today, giving my thoughts on the contents of it, and hopefully you find this enjoyable. If you do, please consider hitting that like button and also subscribing. So they go on to say kind of, well, what a big day yesterday was. Of course, the cat's out of the bag now. Train Sim World 4 is coming on Tuesday the 26th. We know that. If you've missed that announcement, you can certainly catch it here. And then we've got a whole long list of things that were announced at that Dovetail Direct event. I'm not going to go over it. There's a video already on the channel that talks about some of those new features and routes that were announced at the Dovetail Direct event. This is really about looking at the roadmap itself. And as you can see here, we've got a roadmap that actually covers all the way from launch up to sort of 12 months now. It doesn't really give us any big nuggets of information in terms of what's coming much further on than kind of launch. You get one bit of additional information, which is a worst kept secret from for the route that is Blackpool-Preston-Ormskirk from Just Trains. The rest of that, it's all very kind of speculative at the moment. So we won't dwell on this too much because there's not really too much in here that we don't already know. We've then got a section on Railfan TV, which, if you want to sort of see any of the previews in terms of some of the features that will be coming or routes that will be coming with Train Sim World 4, you've got a nice little schedule there to keep an eye out for if there's something in particular. I will certainly be keeping an eye out for the East Coast Main Line. That's one for me personally. I'm looking forward to. Here we've got some nice little livery art, which I'm sure I will be pinching at some point. No, it's some really nice livery. It goes fits quite nicely. And then we dive a little bit into some more detail into some of the three core routes that will be releasing with Train Sim World 4, which I thought worth just sort of going through. So we've got Vorarlberg, Lindau to Bludenz. We've got some just kind of high level points here, which I touched on already in my previous video, but you can see that there if you want to just get some of the high level points. But we'll dive into some of the little bit more nuggets of information that they've given since the announcement yesterday. So why should players be so excited with this route? Well, fundamentally, it goes across the border between two countries. So that's Germany and Austria. And it's something a little bit different because you'll notice the difference in infrastructure and scenery as you go across the border. So pretty cool. What are challenges in creating content for a new country? Yeah, understandably, I think it's fair to say that it probably is quite challenging because you've perhaps got different types of signalling, different types of scenery. You've got to give that feeling that you've gone from one country into another. So it's clearly like they understood that and spent time trying to replicate that within Train Sim World 4. So yeah, that's pretty cool. What does a normal run look like on this route from end to end? As you can see, there's some beautiful scenery here. The mountains with the snow on top. That looks absolutely phenomenal. So what we've got here, so we've got what's a normal look like on the route from end to end. So starting at Lindau, you're in Germany on a beautiful little island, and you progress off the island. You'll turn sharply and shortly make the crossing over to Austria. There's simply a bridge, and you'll see Germany overhead catenary poles one side and the Austrian on the other. Continuing the journey, you'll reach at Riedenberg, where the track forks. At this point, you can head towards Switzerland along the branch line, though only as far as Lastano. Apologies for the pronunciation, where the S-Bahn ends and not actually in Switzerland. Well, that's understandable. This is all about the S-Bahn, but it would have been cool to go into a third country. We do already have some routes in Switzerland, so yeah, maybe there might be an extension one day. Who knows? We've got a nice shot here of a station and the passenger information screens, which looks pretty cool. Continue on the mainline track is now on a gradient, and you're running alongside some breathtaking mountainscapes. I bet that's amazing to see. We saw a bit of a preview further up, and you're heading to the mountains for the ascent to Bludenz. Driving the OBB Talent 1 is straightforward. I guess it's going to be pretty similar to the Talent 2 if you've driven that on some of the German routes. You'll be familiar perhaps with it. We felt one of the most important things to get right with this route is the landscape. Yep, absolutely. You can get to see it a little bit more there. The mountains, and it just looks fabulous with the snow-capped mountains. And they go on to say how they've achieved that using LiDAR, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's stunning visuals actually. That does look really, really good. And any particular points of interest for players to keep an eye on? Let's have a look. The island at Lindau is a particularly beautiful start to your journey. And if anyone's spotted, we've got a DB-BR 628 there in its red livery. Obviously, we first saw that on Niedertalbahn in its white and mint livery. So I think that might be something that's coming. So we'll continue on, but that's pretty cool to see. Another key feature, they've implemented neutral sections. Now that's cool as well. We first saw that on Edinburgh to Glasgow, so it's nice that they've taken that feature forward, because previously it was on previous routes it wasn't implemented, so that's pretty cool. Unique features players can look forward to. This first Australian route, quite similar to their German counterparts. The signals are a little different. It's relatable if you're familiar with German signalling. Okay, that's pretty cool. It's an interesting system, just like German system. It fully supports allowing drivers to drive without the need to learn the route as much as in the UK. Okay, so if you're pretty familiar with German signalling, I'm sure you'll have no issues with this Austrian route. For gameplay, I think this is an important bit here. So the route will also include the DB-BR 185 for freight. That's pretty cool. And if you also decide to go for, I guess, the deluxe or special pack, there'll be some gameplay for the Vectron as well. Nice. Favourite part of the route? We've got the mountains. Key difference is Train Sim World. Yeah, definitely. We've not seen anything so mountainous like that before, so that looks pretty cool. Again, we've got a nice picture here of the Talent 1. I'm liking it. And then we've got 3 words to describe the route, but I won't dwell on that. Then we move into the next route that will be coming with Train Sim World 4, and that is the Antelope line, Los Angeles to Lancaster. We'll be getting the F125 locomotive with the Rotem cars. You can see there in its Metrolink livery. For those unfamiliar with the route, well, you should be excited. Antelope Valley takes players on a journey through America's sunny state with some of the most unique stations ever featured in Train Sim World. Bustling commuter hub of LA Union to the Wild West, pretty cool. So you will notice the landscape changes as you move along the route. And we've also got some desert mountains and lush plains. Okay, cool. What's a normal run look like on the routes? A normal run would see players working their way through the built-up areas before slowly edging their way into the mountains. Yep. So you'll really notice that scenery change as we talked about already. Crawling through the valley until finally reaching the bustling city again. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. We can see the F125 going through the valley there. Interestingly, don't believe there's anything actually on the freight services that will be included. So we'll wait to see if they release something a little bit further, summing up what freight services will be available, because I'm aware that the real life timetable for this Metrolink services is very limited. I think it's something like 23 services a day or something in that effect. So it's going to feel quite quiet if there's not any other services. So hopefully there's some freight added. I'm pretty sure there will be, but we've got no details on that at the moment on what the layers may be. So what's the most challenging part of the route? Hardest part for us is always doing the natural world justice in replicating the standard locations. Yeah, I can imagine moving through these various sort of city to mountainous valleys back to city. That's probably quite difficult. How would Metrolink like to work with? Great. Okay, cool. Any particular points of interest for the players to keep an eye out for? So the Los Angeles River is an iconic spot featured in many Hollywood classics. Players might recognize the setting of many a car chase in the dried up concrete basin, or they're feeling adventurous. The valleys are open for the player to explore. Strange sightings have been reported over the years that led to some believe there's more going on in meets the eye. Okay, so pretty cool locations. Unique feature amongst the unique station, breathtaking views, brand new foliage and landscape materials that make it feel like no other route. The foliage does look good on this, actually. I will give them that. That does look quite nice. Again, you can see the F-125 with the mountains as the backdrop. Very nice. Favourite part? So hard to pick a specific location. The whole route is superb. However, rolling into Vincent Grade Acton as the sunset is hard to beat. Yeah, that does look pretty impressive, I have to say. And then again, we've got three. Describe the route in 3 words. Nice. Okay, moving on. And this is the one for me personally that I'm most excited for, which is East Coast Main Line, Doncaster to Peterborough. I know there's a lot of discussion around the portion that's been chosen, so from Doncaster to Peterborough, when there may have been perhaps other ones that people would have liked to see. Possibly the southern part of this from Peterborough to King's Cross, but this is what we're getting, so we'll see what it's like once we get to drive it. And so what we can say, unfamiliar with the route, what should players be excited? Why should players be excited, should I say? Doesn't get more modern than this. State of the art high speed train, and rapidly getting up to speed is a thrill, offers unique challenges. You're in charge of managing hundreds of tons, 100 people at 125 miles an hour. This is no European line with fancy TVM or LZB as a guiding hand. There's a station in the middle of nowhere, and you need to know when to stop for it. Yeah, that's very true. It's traditional British signalling. What does a normal route look like on normal run look like on this route? So there's several service patterns which run along this section of the East Coast Main Line. A long distance express may run non-stop between the endpoints, letting you get up to speed and stay there, but other services will call out intermediate stations, offering a nice variety. And if you're in something that can't do 125, like the rail tour, with a particular locomotive, expect to pull over into the several passing loops. That's pretty cool. So I like the fact that it's not going to be continually the same A to B with several stops in the middle. There's things will get mixed up. Sometimes you won't stop in the middle, sometimes you will. Sometimes some stations that you'll pass. You'll also notice in the background here, we've got the class 801 that we now know will both come in the 5 and 9 car formation. So that's pretty cool to know that we're going to get both formations. So that should add some variety still. What's been the most challenging part of this route? So my experience in this arena comes from talking to various people. Okay, intercity stations, lots of stopping markers, waiting point shops. Okay, so just all round very difficult. Cool. What's LNER been like to work with? Forthcoming, it assists us greatly. You're able to get access to the 801. Great. And we've got some 801s in the depot there. Nice. Any particular points of interest? I would say so. Lots have been detailed, has been crammed into this route. We have open shops, that's pretty cool. Authentic OHLE gantries, which you can kind of see on this picture here, and they also have the famed Mallard sign on Stoke Bank, and as well, of course, as bigger areas such as Doncaster Works, a Hitachi depot, lots of bridges, and some quite interesting level crossings. Mallard sign looks nice, and it's great that they've not just used the generic British overhead line equipment. There's been some authentic included, so that's great to see. And then the unique feature players can look forward to. We've got the Newark flat crossing, which you can see in this picture just down below. So that's pretty cool. And in between LNERs racing north and south, you can spot 158s heading east to west. So the LNER services up and down. And that's pretty cool to see going across the that crossing. So that's pretty cool. And then favorite part of the route is going to be Peterborough Station, apparently. So we'll get this Class 700 that was released earlier in the year, add as an AI layer into Peterborough. There'll also be services, LNER services that don't stop at Peterborough and just race straight through. So that's pretty cool. And also a rail tour. Oh, and also potentially some East Midlands traffic. Okay, so Peterborough should feel quite busy, which is nice. And then we've got two 801s coupling together. Then we go on to Flying Scotsman. I'm going to try and race through some of this as quickly as possible. There's a lot to cover in this roadmap. So very much the Flying Scotsman is all about celebrating the 100 years of it being a legend. Yep. And it's all part of its sort of centenary birthday. They got some authentic recordings for the sound. That's cool. They're going to, probably. That's excited to see it, and you can see it coming across the flat crossing there, and the model of the Flying Scotsman is in its preserved state. So nice. And it can also be used in free roam or scenario planner across many of the other UK routes if that's your kind of thing. What's it like to drive? Brilliant to drive. Cool. Most challenging part of the locomotive to build is the biggest steam locomotive so far they've brought to the game. I think it's going to be one. And I think one of the more challenging areas is getting the finer details. Yeah, absolutely. One thing I certainly will be looking out for is the notorious safety valves on Trainsim World steam locomotives, because they ain't right. So they constantly go off when they shouldn't be. That's something that's been promised to be looked at, but be interesting to see if it has or not. No mention of it, so do keep an eye out for that. There's some scenarios that will come with the Scotsman. Just worth saying that the Flying Scotsman will come with the deluxe and special bundles, and then they won't be available to purchase individually until a month after the release. So it's kind of, if you want the Scotsman and the Vectron, it's kind of pushing you into getting the deluxe edition, which is not that great if I'm honest. But hey, there we are. You should give players choice. So with Scenario Planner, yeah, cool. Okay, moving on to the Vectron. So let's just talk about the Vectron. This is the worst kept secret again. So this has been on the roadmap for quite some time as the German locomotive. Most people have known it's the Vectron, and its home route will be Dresden to Riesa, which is obviously one of the original Rush Hour Trainsim World 2 Rush Hour routes that were released. So nice to see a little bit more variety on that route. It's already fantastic as it is. So the Vectron is an ultra modern powerhouse of the freight locomotive. It's unique to look at, and it makes it really fun to drive. Yeah, it looks like a pretty impressive loco it's got a lot of detail and looks well modeled, so great. It's also a mobile computer with lots of functionality implemented on screen. That's great, so we'll be able to play with some of that. Again, you get to see the beautiful Railpool livery, get a bit of a view of the inside cab as well. Oh, that's cool. So the IC coaches from the BR 101 pack will also come with the Vectron. That's nice. You can use it in both, I guess, freight and passenger configurations. It's nice. There are extensive computer screens implemented on this, along with a very detailed representation of the physical train, capturing all of that effectively has been a challenge. Yeah, I bet. Operational quirks that you need to keep an eye out on. Time to take to explore the computer screens. Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine that will be fun to see what is operated by those screens. Your headlights are set up in the screens. Okay, cool. And tons of other stuff. So you can cut out traction motors to save power as well, just as the real locomotive. So that sounds pretty cool that a lot of the functionality has been replicated. They've sourced authentic audio, so that's great. We're not going to have something that doesn't necessarily fit the Vectron. And yeah, they've added an extra scenario for the Vectron to run on Vorarlberg, and also in timetable mode. So that's going to be really cool to see in Vorarlberg. And also worth noting that Dresden to Reset will get an update to bring it up to Train Sim World 3 features, so the lighting and weather. So that's great to see that route's finally being upgraded, although a little bit skeptical about losing the fantastic night lighting on that route. So kind of curious to see what it will look like with the new lighting. And then we move on to the third-party announcement, which is this Blackpool to Preston-Ormskirk, which is developed by Just Trains. And it includes the Class 142, commonly known as the Pacer, and done it look fantastic with the backdrop of Blackpool Pleasure Beach. So this looks very, very nice. This is one I'm really looking forward to. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on it. It looks like there's a lot of detail in this route, and so it will also include a lot of layers from other BR era routes that are already in Train Sim World. So you can see there, Class 40, whisks its way along the embankment between Singleton and Wheaton. So that's pretty cool. Then we've got Class 31 at Preston Station. It's looking nice. We've got the route map there, so you can see starts in Ormskirk. You've got the kind of main station here at Preston, which would be traditionally on the main line, and then the branches off towards Blackpool. We've got both Blackpool South and North, or North and South included, so that's nice. And then I believe this is a freight spur that goes to Bernays. So yeah, that's quite a considerable amount of track included. So I think it'll be pretty cool. I think there's 19 stations in total, of which I think 16 or so are actually used. And then we've got a few more shots here, but doesn't it just look fantastic? I'll leave you to read through this in a little bit more detail, but it's great to see that we finally know what it is, and we get to see some pictures of what will be included. But yeah, there's going to be various different locomotives. Again, you can see the Class 08 there, the 101, a whole variety of that BR era. So pretty cool, and the stations look fantastically modelled. This is one I'm really looking forward to. This is here at Blackpool North. You can see some of the PIS also included. Yeah, I'm loving this. This is it's going to be cool. So that is Blackpool to Preston. And also, if you want to go and read Just Train's own kind of article on the development for this route, you can see there's a link there. So in your own time, can go and read that. One of the other features that will be coming with Train Sim World 4 is the overhead line rendering. As you can see in previously, it was pretty thin and kind of faded away into the distance. Now it looks a lot thicker and a lot more pronounced. So all for that. We've then got some rain window effects. Basically, the rain previously was pretty pixelated. And it looked pretty poor, but now we've got it does look a lot better. So we can show it there. You can see some of that on the windscreen there. Quick little demonstration. Looking good. Right, we'll move on. You can see I'm trying to speed things up here. I think we've been going for a little while as it is, so thanks for sticking with me. And then we've got some character updates and new dioramas. That's great. I think we all know that perhaps some of the characters in Train Sim World 3 aren't necessarily were the best. But what is quite sad not to see in this is actually the passenger behaviour, because God, too often do we see passengers flying to the moon, flying on the tracks, not getting on a train, running empty trains, or going to the first stop and then completely emptying. So nice, but not good enough, I'm afraid. This is a nice little Easter egg that we didn't expect to see. There's going to be a brand new Köln-Aachen timetable, and this is going to significantly increase the amount of traffic on this route, and it will make big station like Köln a lot busier. So I'm looking forward to seeing what this is going to be like. I'm sure we'll get some more information on that closer to the time. We've got a quick update on the previous roadmap items here. So we've got New York Trenton timetable. I think it's fair to say that there'll be AI freight with one shunting service, but it will come on the launch of Train Sim World 4. But this, again, not very good. Dovetail Games saying it will come later for Train Sim World 3. I don't believe that for a minute. So you should be releasing that now if it's ready for Train Sim World 4. Why isn't it ready for Train Sim World 3? Get your act together. I'm going to gloss over that because it just irritates me. You shouldn't be releasing stuff solely for Train Sim World 4 when this has been long promised for Train Sim World 3. So pretty poor there. We've got some Southeastern high-speed route improvements. There's a whole host of changes here. Quite a few. And this will predominantly include the Thameslink stopping boards between the stations of Rainham and Dartford. So you'll be able to, I think when the 700 was originally released, we were given the promise that we'll have the appropriate stopping locations included. So that's cool. And then there's some other quality of life updates as well. As I mentioned earlier, the DB 628 is now going to, DB BR 628 is going to come in its lovely red livery that will be used on Vorarlberg. So there have been some slight changes just to reflect it is now in the modern area. So that looks pretty cool. I do enjoy driving that loco on Niedertalbahn and Linke Rheinstrecke. So yeah, that's going to look pretty cool in Vorarlberg. And then we've got Train Sim World 4 launch mega update. This is the bit that it's got me quite irritated, actually. Yes, these are all things that have been talked about, not necessarily the signage. Actually, no, I will say signage improvements, should have come for Train Sim World 3 because that was promised when the 700 was released. Timetable should also come to Train Sim World 3. Not so fussed about Dresden Riesa, didn't expect that. Neither Talbarn. The BR1887 from Rivet Games was about the worst DLC I've ever seen released for Train Sim World. And those audio improvements it's been going on for forever, what feels like forever. So yeah, that's poor. Also, improvements to Edinburgh Glasgow in terms of the graphics should also have come for Train Sim World 3. And I think this is a statement here that there'll be many other small improvements. Will provide more information at the time, but these will be released for Train Sim World 4 only. And I think that's the thing that's really irritated me here, is that these are all improvements that have clearly been worked on and built and should be available for those that are still on Train Sim World 3. You're effectively now having to pay to be able to access bug fixes, which I think is pretty poor. It's pretty diabolical, if I'm honest. There shouldn't be, and I get there's a whole not entitlement piece here in terms of forcing someone to buy a piece of DLC to get some bug fixes for stuff that they've already paid good money for that's not good. I think Dovetail Games really need to reevaluate that. We've got a bit of a partner program check-in. Cool. There's some work going on in terms of Rivet. They've got some new stuff coming. And we've got some of the other partners working on projects in the background, but no timelines. And we've got upcoming features and improvements. So these were two things that were not really touched upon in the announcement. So we've got suspension improvements. In Train Sim World 3, you definitely do only sway side to side, but now it'll be up and down through the inclusion of these suspension improvements. So I think this is one that overall is going to make it should feel like quite a good difference. And and make it more realistic sitting in that cab. So you'll get a bounce which allows for a much bouncier vehicle. Yeah, I think this is going to be a positive actually, and I can't wait for this to be included. So obviously when you're going around a curve, you'll get a bit of body roll, but also when you're braking, the train nose may dip under braking and rise under acceleration. So I think that's just really quite a nice improvement in terms of the physics. So positive for me on that one. And then we've got formation designer, which means it's not a true formation designer in that you can randomly couple things together. It will be related to the train that you're altering. So for example, you can't couple a 700 to the BR 628 as we've just been talking about. It is literally just perhaps altering the formation of, say, the 628, perhaps coupling a couple of them together, don't know, something along that effect. So there will be limits to it. And I think that finally wraps up what is a very long part one of this roadmap. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please consider hitting that like button and also subscribing. Leave your comments down below on your thoughts, and I'll see you for part 2. Bye-bye for now.